Spiritual fitness podcast. I'm back for another episode. And today, people, I'm happy to be here. This weekend was so incredible. I was able to warm up and MC the event at UCLA Wilson Plaza for Diddy Hirsch Suicide Prevention. 5K walk and run. It was incredible. Learned a lot. So grateful to be here. Today's episode, we're going to talk about fear and anxiety, right? And so I got 5 proven techniques for you to overcome fear and anxiety. And I think what happens is fear is such a natural component to life that all of us have, I believe, after we get older. Because when you're a baby and you're young, you don't have information, you have no awareness. I think Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about from 0 to 7 years old, a child's unconscious mind is wide open. So any experiences, pain, trauma, or things they might encounter will be programmed within them for their beliefs, right? Their belief system. You know how babies, they run around, some of them, say they 1 and 2 years old, they got to change their diaper, they run around naked, they climb on tables, they climb on counters, they don't have fear, they don't even think about it. They just, if they want something, they're going to do it. If they cry, and then they stop. There's no resistance in them being their true, authentic self. And because let's be clear, people, we were not born into fear. You were not born into fear. You are love, not fear. So I think one, the way fear impacts our daily life is that we're always on defense, right? We're trying to protect ourselves from, you know, not being liked, not being loved, not being accepted. We don't want to be judged, right? So we go out in the world every day and say, how do I look? What do people think of me? How much money do I make? Some of us we don't even go into gyms because we're so in fear of what people are going to think or say about us. And it's like no one is even thinking or saying anything. Those fearful thoughts and energy is coming from ourselves, from our mind, from the media, from the things we see in our day-to-day world, and most likely probably how we were raised or what we grew up on. So we got to understand fear is created. We're not born with fear. So understand that, right? It's so important. At the root of fear is even we're feeling unworthy. We're feeling that we're not enough. Someone projected their fear. Could have been a mom, could have been a dad, a parent, a sibling. So fear is created and demonstrated based on our environment, how we, like I said, how we was raised and what we were taught and what we saw growing up. I always say, anxiety comes from living too much in the future and we're not present in the now. We're worrying about what we got to do tomorrow. We got to do 10 days from now. And look, I'm so guilty of that. Like I lived most of my life that way. And it wasn't until like late last year I realized like, what are you chasing? What are you afraid of, right? Why are you so afraid of not living up to the future of what you think? Because tomorrow a miracle can happen. Right now, no miracle can happen, but we're so far in the future. And I think what it was is that I was so afraid that I wasn't going to have the things I needed or I wasn't going to be safe, that I had to always be busy. I had to always be working. I had to always be giving. I had to always be achieving. I just had to always be on. And the more on I was, the more off I felt in my mind, in my body, and in life. And it wasn't until I crashed and burned and I burned out. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And the thing that was controlling that was fear. Anxiety and fear like cousins. Like the fear projected the anxiety to take place for the future. Today, listening in, just know where your fear is coming from, understanding it, and also know fear is not always yours, right? Your fear could be what your dad taught you, what your mom programmed you to believe. I remember my mom would always say, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. She will always say that. And I grew up having an ideology. I don't need anyone. I can do it on my own. And granted, I did a lot on my own, but damn, I do want to need someone at, at some point in life. And I realized like you can't go far if you don't have a team. You can't go far if you don't have people around you supporting you and encouraging you and loving you, right? If I had another me, of course, it would be great. So that's what you want to have within yourself and be open to receive. But anyway, so the 5 proven techniques, if you're listening, if you're watching, write this down because I'm gonna break them down. The first one is breath work, breathing exercises, right? I feel like life is in our mind and in our breath, how we breathe, right? When you're happy, you breathe a certain way. When you're anxious, you breathe a certain way. When you're sad, you breathe a certain way. When you're achieving something, you breathe a certain way. So that's one technique that I'm going to talk about in this episode. Two is positive visualization, right? Imagining success, imagining positive outcomes. You ever had that things like you could just see it, you can see yourself on stage, you can see yourself hitting that winning shot, you can see you in a happy relationship or partnership. That's visual. You visualize, or you can feel it. You can feel that, oh, this person is my person. You can feel this job is such a great fit, right? So important to have that. Three is it's what use with a lot of my clients is reframing your negative thoughts. There's a quote that goes, if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change, right? And so instead of saying, oh man, I gotta go to work today, it's an hour drive, and say, you know what? I'm so happy I get to work today to meet my coworkers and connect and reflect and just build rapport. I'm happy to go on this hour drive to the office. I get to listen to my favorite podcast, Spiritual Fitness with Eric Bigger, right? Or whatever you listen to. Mine's probably be Lewis House, School of Greatness. Shouts out to Lewis. But yeah, that's reframing. Four is exposure therapy, right? Gradually facing your fears in a controlled manner. So I'm going to talk about the story of when I jumped in the middle of the ocean in Mexico in Cancun. I was afraid, I was going to drown, but I had already took swimming lessons, but I knew I could do it. The way I managed that was talking to myself. And I'm going to talk about that in the episode. And then five, mindfulness and meditation, how to really be in a calm nervous system, how to regulate your nervous system when fear is approaching or you feel pressured or lots going on or you're overwhelmed. It's so important. But anyway, people, remember, fear is created. At 22, when I moved to LA, I knew one person. I booked a one-way ticket to LA. That means in my mind and my body, I'm not coming back home to Baltimore. And I didn't have fear when I made that decision. There was no fear. I was 22. Maybe my mind wasn't fully developed, right? Most people wouldn't do that. I did not have fear. People like, I had $1,000 and I was going to Los Angeles, California in 2010, fresh out of college. But people, I had no fear. And then at that time, people were always family and friends. You coming home, you coming home. I got so triggered. Stop asking me that. No, I'm not coming home. I didn't understand it. And then over time, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm 3,000 miles away. Oh, they saw my decision, my choice as a risk. In my mind, it was a decision. I'm just going to the West Coast, like I'm going to a new school and I'm going to live. I knew one person. I figured it out. I was able to make that conscious decision because I didn't have fear controlling me. Shouts out to my parents. My dad was the one who put the battery in my back and say, son, I think you should go to LA. I don't want you here in Baltimore. He didn't put any fear on me. My mom didn't hold me back. They didn't pressure me to be anything or do anything. They let E be E, and it got me this far in life, right? That moment in my life, I jumped, right? I took a chance to advance, but I didn't know what I was getting into. Granted, when I got here, I was confused. I'm like, how can I not make money and find a job? I'm equipped. I graduated with honors. Like, I know who I am. I get it. Like, I'm the man in my mind, because I just left school and I just thought I know it all. But anyway, life humbled me and I had to figure it out. So through that process, I just kept learning. I kept learning. I kept learning. I had low end jobs where I was making $8 an hour. I was doing background acting. Shouts out to Central Casting. I think fear didn't really come into my life heavily in LA was when I went to go work for myself. So fast forward, after working at the Beverly Center, the sneaker store, I had a job at Abercrombie and Fitch as a manager. I was there for 18 months. I was making good money, not commission. I was making commission at the Beverly Center. And then I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich, The Secret. And I got into management at Abercrombie and Fitch when I was on salary. I was getting paid 2 times a week. We had benefits. So I was happy. I bought me a car. I was living a dream, right? I also was applying like these manifestation and these success techniques. And it wasn't until 18 months I decided to quit my job because I started a mobile app called Eric Bigger Successful Living. And I'm like, oh, I want to work for myself. And at this time I'm 24. So I started to get into training because I was doing boot camps in North Hollywood Park for 2 years straight. And people were like, you should train. So I started to train, work for myself at 24, right? And man, I had clients, I was charging 50 an hour. What's this, 2012? Man, I'm doing the thing. And then boom, I hit a wall. One client couldn't sign up, another client left. Man, I was just stuck. And that's when the fear really crept in, man, because I just didn't know. But anyway, it's so interesting how you can speak on something and take you back to a moment that you never thought about. But I was resilient, right? I believed, I had faith, I was still driven. I wanted more out of life. I wanted more money, I wanted more opportunity. And the humbling thing about that moment was when I did leave as a manager, I actually went back as a model to fold clothes because I needed money, right? Because I was working like three jobs. I say all that to say, when you have faith over fear, you're able to push past your tough moments, your challenging points, right? Because all I really had was a dream and my faith. And so I just kept going. So the reason I'm telling you that is because there's somewhere in your life, maybe right now, you're stuck. All right, or you feel off, or you challenged. Maybe you just got out of a relationship, you lost a job, you lost friends, and there's a lot of fear and anxiety taking over your body because you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what to do, and you're just in fear. And I'm here to tell you, like, you have to surrender and trust, right? And you have to believe that something greater is going to happen. Now, granted, it's easy said than done, right? But it's also easy to not do what needs to be done, and that is find yourself again, right? Because when we get in these fearful moments, we just got to find ourselves. And a lot of it's programming, right? Being anxious about the future, which I've done for so long. But I want to get into these techniques because that's going to be the most important thing. The takeaway from this episode is for you to have the 5 proven techniques to overcome fear and anxiety. So breath work is being number one. Why is breath work so important? How does it get you out of this fear and this anxiousness? Because what breath work does, it gets you out of your mind and it gets you back into your body, right? Breath work allows you to release energy from your body. So if you're feeling fear, anxiousness, overwhelmed, when you breathe that in and breathe it out, you remove it. So if I'm breathing to my diaphragm and I'm breathing out, feel better, right? Feel lighter. So imagine doing deep breathing exercises. I would say 10 a day. You breathe from your diaphragm, you breathe, push out from your belly. Whenever you're feeling these emotions of fear, anxiety, or overwhelm, or just flustered, just breathe. 10 deep breaths. It'll change and alter your state that you're in energetically and vibrationally. So breath work is so important. Write this down. And see, a lot of times we want the information to change our situation, but we're not applying it. We're not embodying it. You have to embody it. You have to apply it. It works. Trust me. I do breath work every morning. So try that technique 10 times. Deep breathing exercise. That's a way to get over your anxiousness about if you're going to get a job, if this person likes you, if you're going to be okay. No, you're going to be okay. Let me tell you why. Because you're listening right now, that means you're going to be okay. Because the only thing we have right now is the moment. History is being made now. Now, and the be here now. That's how I know you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine, right? Because we're here together in this moment, breathing, right? Before I get into it, I want to talk about another fear. When I was in Peru earlier this year, I hiked Machu Picchu, and at the top of Machu Picchu, like before you get there, so you walk up. This is the edge right here, right? So I'm at the top of the mountain, but the top is really above me, but it's like a small stairs to kind of get up there, right? So mind you, I'm afraid of heights. I have a fear of heights. So I'm at the top. I'm looking over this cliff, and I'm so scared. Mind you, I went before everybody. I just left them. I'm by myself. You know what the first thing I did at the top of that mountain? I paused and I took 2 deep breaths. I was like, oh my God, like I'm really at the top of the mountain. I'm by myself. And I just prayed. I just prayed because I was afraid. I mean, I'm afraid of heights. It was the breath work that calmed me down in my body to let myself know that, Eric, you're almost there. Relax. And it helped. So just wanted to share that. Number 2, positive visualization and imagining success and positive outcomes. So, like I said, I had an event this past weekend, Diddy Hirsch Suicide Prevention, and I was the MC and I warmed up the crowd. So I was anxious. But my anxiousness was more so exciting because, like, oh my God, I get to speak in front of all these people. We had like 1,000 people show up, or sign up or whatever. Like, so it's going to be big, right? I'm speaking. I got a script. And usually, I don't really like scripts. I like the improv. I'm the improv king. Before I was just in my mind, like, just visualizing being on the stage, being happy. working the crowd out, talking to them, speaking with them, bringing them in, engaging. Like I was visualizing this. And truth be told, when I first got up there, I still was a little like uneasy. Like I wasn't fully centered yet. I was still like, and then after like the first few words or sentences, I felt better. And I was like, all right, I got it out. It's kind of like you're playing ball or something. You got to get your first shot out. How you feel good because it's nervousness, right? We're so critical. I'm so critical of myself, hyper aware of what I'm doing or not doing. It's like, bro, be present, breathe. But anyway, it actually, like, to be honest, like after the event, I was such on a high. Like I prayed, of course, several times before I got on stage. I visualize and my outcomes, the things I imagined in my mind before it happened, actually took place in my body afterwards. Like I felt it. I'm like, man, I felt so fulfilled. I felt rejuvenated. I felt appreciated. I felt like, thank you, God, for allowing me to do this. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. These people out here, they lost, their loved ones to suicide. It's a tough time and space to hold for people. But I'm so happy that I have the tools and the bandwidth to hold space and just hug and, run in the remembrance of those we lost. We ran 3 miles. Some of us walked. It was just incredible. But I literally felt what I envisioned in my mind. And it felt good because it came through my body. So that's number two, how to overcome fear and anxiety about something. Instead of looking at the negative outcome, what could be the positive outcome in this situation? Instead of you thinking your boss is going to get mad if you ask for a promotion, what if your boss is like, I'm happy. I was waiting for you to ask me for that. Or you got something you want to reveal to your partner and you think they're going to have a fit. And it was like, they're actually going to love you more because you're actually telling them the truth. And they need that. And they're like, you know what? I've been thinking that as well. So we create these stories because of fear that don't serve us in reality. So this is why we got to visualize positive outcomes, right? For our success. Boom. Three, reframing negative thoughts. Like I said, negative thoughts come in all the time. And in my life, I say relationships. Let's talk about relationships because that's always a great topic. I remember when I was like afraid of intimacy, I was all good with like hanging out, going to dinner, having fun. But like after those 6 months period, and these women would get close to me, oh baby, I would run. I would run because somewhere in my body and my mind, I just didn't trust love. I didn't trust affection. So I'm thinking it's like, it's going to hurt me. It's going to injure me. And truth be told, I actually manifest that in a way years later when I got in a relationship. And it's not that it hurt me or affected me. I came into the relationship with fear, right? So intentionally, I was always on a defense unconsciously, even though I was trusting myself, but I wasn't trusting myself in full faith. I still had that back door open, like, I don't know. So I felt some of those emotions I didn't want to feel because I actually manifested because I visualized the negative part. Now that I'm more evolved and I've grown so much, I used to have this thing like if I text someone and they don't text me back within a time, I should think something negative. And then, lately and recently in all of life, I've programmed myself like, nah, like they're busy, they got things going on. Life doesn't revolve around me anyway, right? But I used to be so deep in that negative pattern of if someone don't text me back within a time, something's wrong with me, or I will overthink, overanalyze, or if I had an audition and I didn't get called back or I didn't make the call back, I thought something was wrong with me. And my friend was telling me one day, like, it's never personal, it's all business. And so I remember doing Old Spice commercial. I had to call back. It was fun. The client, the directors were there. They loved me. And I didn't get it. And I was upset. And I was just in my negative mind. And I'm just like, and then I had to think about it. I saw the actual commercial. It was one of my boys that I knew for years ago who actually got it. And the lead in the video, I mean, the commercial was the NFL player at the time was Clay Matthews. He played for the Packers. And then it was a friend of mine that I know, not a friend, but someone I knew, associate, cool guy who got it. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have got that commercial because this guy is short. I'm there in 6'3". I would have been able to overpower the main character, which was Clay Matthews. It was business, right? But I needed that experience to see that to reframe my mind. Like I was in this negative loop because the way I was looking at it. So anytime a negative thought comes up, it's the best to look at it and say, why am I thinking this, right? Where is this coming from? It's fear, since anxiety is insecurity. But the way to reframe that is look at it from instead of it being bad, how can this be good? How can this opportunity, this challenge, this change, this story I'm creating be positive? Because so you want to save yourself from thinking negative so much because our thoughts are powerful and we can manifest, right? Like I said in that relationship, I actually manifest parts of things that I was afraid of because of fear. Now I'm so, love is so healthy in my life. It's just like, I'm not looking for that. I'm not even attracting that. So reframe your thinking, right? Reframe your negative thoughts and be aware when you're in that. And don't always be trying to protect yourself because of fear. Always think about what would love do? If you was the vibration of love, which you are, what would that look like? And what would that energy do? It wouldn't be in fear. It wouldn't be like this. It'd be open to receive. So next, number four, exposure therapy, gradually facing fear in a controlled manner. So like I said earlier, I was in Cancun, Mexico for a retreat. Shouts out to Kathleen. Kathleen is amazing. She had me come there. It was the MC there as well, and I trained, the clients that were there for her. We did some physical fitness, some movement. Movement is medicine. Hopefully, you got your 30 minutes in today. But I remember we were all on a boat, and 2 years prior to that moment, I had took swimming lessons because I couldn't swim. I did like 18 lessons in like 8 feet, 9 feet of water. And I was like, oh, I can actually swim. I was really afraid of the water my whole life. So we're in the ocean. It's a bunch of women, 40 and over. I mean, Kathleen, she's a client of mine. She had her mom there. Her mom was like 66, 67. She was just jumping in the ocean. Here, I'm the trainer, the athlete, and I'm over there with happy feet, afraid, fear. And fear was controlling my decision. I was so afraid. And then there's a young lady named Helen who actually was like, yeah, Eric, you seem like you want to get in there. You sure you don't want to get in? And I was like, man, I do, but I'll be okay. But back deep down in my mind, being in the ocean like that, I'm like, I know I'm gonna regret not jumping in if I leave this island, if I leave this place and don't do it. And all these women jumped in, right? Plus my ego talking to me at that point. And the next thing you know, I said, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I had this fear. And I got to like the edge of the boat. And I was like, why am I fearing? I was like, oh, because I don't trust. I don't trust life. I'm not trust. I said, I trust God and everything else. Why wouldn't I trust him in this moment? And I was like, God, I know you got me. And I can swim. And so next thing you know, I jump. And like when I release, it was like jumping off a building, like, oh, wow. Come back to the top. I had another guy there, George, who had my back. And I swam over to the rope. And I was good. And I was just like, I was so happy, right? Because I'm like, I did it, I did it. I always had this vision in mind, really positive outcome that I could jump in the middle of the ocean. And so I did it. I was happy, I was excited, but I had to manage that fear. I couldn't just jump right in. I had to kind of like take my time, really think about it, maneuver, just control it. And then I embraced it and I felt liberated. Like I was good. So exposure therapy. So when you're having fear, find a positive way to manage it, right? It could be fear, like you about to go into a workout and you think it's going to be hard. But here's the thing. When you're going to do something hard or something that's fearful, it's all in your mind. It's not actually real. You're creating it. I tell clients all the time, if I'm telling you to do abs and you're like, oh man, you just created that story in your mind that abs are going to be hard. So guess what's gonna happen to your body? It's gonna be tense because you just told yourself because of fear, oh, I don't want to do that. Or if I gotta do burpees, it's gonna be hard. No, you're creating that. You're creating that so then it becomes that. So be aware of when you're having fear that is it really fear or is this something you're creating because yes, you're creating it. Or it could be fear because you might have been bit by a dog when you were young. So yeah, you're afraid of the dog because I'm afraid of dogs, right? At times. I don't want to say that but we can control it. You walk past a big dog or your friend, you breathe deeply, right? That breath, get back to that breath work, or you're afraid of feedback. It's like, all right, get the feedback. What did they say? What did they say? Oh, we like your speech, but maybe you can just change a little here. Okay, 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 right? You're managing it. You're not letting it overtake you, overpower you. So that's the point of exposure therapy, managing fear when you are in fear, right? Relax, relax. It's okay. You're all right. And last but not least, mindfulness and meditation. I mean, mindfulness and meditation is being mindful, right? Being aware. Self-awareness is the key to all things. Like I said earlier, understanding fear. Where is it coming from? Where is the root lie? Like it's unworthiness, not feeling enough, what your parents might put on you. All these things, be mindful of where they're coming from. Is it people projecting their fears on you? So now you're in fear of the thing. I remember in Peru at Machu Picchu, I met someone, thank God, after the hike, a few days. Yeah, you know, a lot of people die up there. They just don't report it. Good God, I'm glad I didn't meet this person before hiking. It would have stressed me out, right? So also stand guard to the door of your mind because people will put things in your mind that you don't need to receive. So be mindful of meditation. Meditation is, I would say a different form of breath work, but it calms you down. It regulates your nervous system. I always go to like high vibration frequencies on YouTube, or I'll just listen to something soothing or something good that I can, I mean, 5 to 10 minutes a day, right? We'll keep the fear out, relax and remove the anxiety, but you're gonna overcome fear with these techniques. So run it back, listen to this episode, share, subscribe, and like Spiritual Fitness Podcast. Let me know how we can improve this podcast. Also, give me feedback, DM me, connect with me on social, like talk to me. I want to be in your life. I want to know what you're afraid of. Where does your fears lay in your life? These things work. So I'm running back. One is breath work, breathing exercise, positive visualization, imagine positive outcomes. Three, reframing your negative thoughts. Four, exposure therapy, managing your fear. And five, mindfulness and meditation. And don't give up, right? And continue to seek more information. I'm feeling moved and called to do a prayer for anyone watching and listening in this moment. I think it's imperative. My spirit is telling me, so I'm going to do that. But before, shouts out to Simplify Impact, who controls all my YouTube and my podcast episodes. Click the link and get their information. They're such an amazing marketing firm and company that have helped me so much grow my subscriptions and just grow my podcast and my name, likeness in my brand, because it's important to have a brand. You are your brand. How do you see yourself? Simplify Impact will help you discover that. Also, it's Miracle Season merch. Click the link and get you some merch. By the way, half off if you use the promo code M Season, MSEASO in all caps. You get 50% off of all merch. Get your hoodie. It's getting cold outside, and rep the brand. It's Miracle Season, the healing frequency, to ends all suffering, transformational. And by the way, if you're seeking one-on-one training, whether it's physically or mindset coaching, click the link, sign up. Let's connect. Let's talk. And thank you once again for listening to this episode. But I'm going to pray before I let you guys go. Thank you for being here. Dear God, as we come to you in this moment, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for these beautiful words that you allow to come through me today. Thank you for everyone listening. Protect them, watch over them, bless them, lead, God, and direct them. Give them the truth. Remove any fear, any anxiety. Remove any words from their unconscious mind. Remove it from their spirits, from their life. Give them confidence. Give them power. Show them how to use their breath. Show them how to pray. Show them how to meditate. Give them everything they need in every moment to be successful, to be prosperous, to be fulfilled, and to be happy. Allow them to tap into their gratitude. Allow this episode to inspire, impact, and touch those who need it with so much transparency and authenticity, and allow us to grow together collectively in the cosmos, on the YouTube, and the podcast, just in life. Allow these listeners and these people to go above and beyond their dreams, make them better than they want to be, give them more wisdom, more intellect, and give them more self-love. Just want to say thank you with so much gratitude. Amen. Ashe, Aho. So it is. Spiritual Fitness Podcast. We out. Till next time. Have a beautiful day. Love.